Hello and welcome back to Lately Fashionable. I'm Chelsea Souter and I am currently in my year of dressing vintage. I have gotten far enough in at this point that I am starting to see which outfits are my favorites and which pieces I want to clone. And that is what we are going to be doing today. I have also, as you might imagine, been noticing some holes in my wardrobe, but that will be another video. One of the first candidates for cloning is actually this vest because I really love it and I get comments on it every time I wear it. It seems to be a favorite with the public as well. And a vest is a really good mix and match piece that can change up an outfit and make it feel new. So I do want more vests. But the copy of this vest that I want to make is not the first vest that I have planned. Let me know if you remember this moment. I cannot tell you how badly I want to make a brown velvet vest right now because it would go so good with this outfit. But that's not why we're here. And that wasn't just me daydreaming. I have brown velvet ready to go to turn into a vest. And I have a pattern, but I'm not going to start on it right now because the shirt that I was wearing in that clip is really perfect to wear under a brown velvet vest. And I want to make sure the neckline of whichever vest I choose, probably this one, will work with that blouse. So I will come back to that on a day when I'm wearing that blouse. So, putting it aside for now, it's probably a little silly to start this video about a dress that I'm making by teasing two vests that I'm not going to make right now. But that's where we are. That's what we're doing. So, the cat's out of the bag. I mean, you saw the title and thumbnail already, but I am going to be cloning one of my dresses today. It will either be this one or this one. Points in favor of this one. I loved making this dress and I love wearing it. It's very comfortable, it's adjustable, it's made for maternity. It's easy to throw on, it's easy to wash. I don't have to iron it, it's great. And although I do really love it, it's not as versatile as I would like, and a copy of it would be more versatile. Points in favor of this one. I did enjoy making it. I enjoyed wearing it once, but I don't think I'm going to wear it much, if at all. It's a little bit costumey, and bigger issue, it's starting to fall apart already. Like the fabric is already failing at the darts, and it's only a matter of time before it begins failing at the seams. So for those reasons, I want to remake it, but in a sturdier fabric that has less costumey vibes. Luckily, I already have fabrics for both of these dresses in my stash. I didn't need to buy them, which is great. First fabric is a petticoat that I bought at the Colonial Williamsburg costume sale. There's a video about that here. It is wool. It's a beautiful color of blue. I think it would be a really nice jumper dress. So I'm going to make this one without the ruffles. Second fabric is this lovely quilting cotton in a light blue with these tiny little dark red flowers all over it. And I'm going to make this style without the collar and without the rickrack trim. And I already have buttons for it, so it's perfect. And I'm going to make this one first, primarily because this one is better suited for summer, and I want to make the wool jumper dress while we still have cooler days where I will conceivably want to reach for something wool. Now, I'm reasonably certain that I will have enough fabric to make this work because I had a look at my old blog where I documented making this dress the first time around, and I had measured my fabric, which was an old fitted sheet, I think for a single bed, and it was about 2 yards of fabric, and this is pretty much exactly 2 yards of fabric. The only issue is, because it's a petticoat, that 2 yards has been cut in half. So both the front and back of the petticoat are 1 yard pieces, salvage to salvage. The salvage is actually still intact. And I'm really excited to make this one because this is such good fabric and it's in such good condition. I've been dreaming about making something from it ever since I bought it, and that was well over a year ago. Just over a year ago? 2 years ago? One of them. So it's about time, really. Let's get started. Hi, it's the next day. I finally finished seam ripping the seams and the hem of the petticoat, and I was working on ironing it. And let me just show you. Here at the ironing board, for the first time, I am noticing several stains on the wool. So rather than continue pressing it and actually set in the stains, more so than they probably already are, I am going to attempt to wash this fabric. So wish me luck. I don't typically wash wool, but if I do it by hand and I use gentle soap, very little, what's the word? What's the word for the thing that you don't want to do unless you're felting? Agitation. Very little agitation. I think it'll be okay. I'm going to try to get these stains out because they are not just on one side of the fabric, they are in the fabric. So I can't just cut out and use the wrong side as my right side. And if I can't get them out, I will see if I can cut around them. So it might be interesting. If I can't cut around them, maybe I can cleverly disguise them with patch pockets or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hello again. It has been several days since I worked on this project. I actually came out here to sew for an hour the other day, and when I went back inside, my husband asked me, "How did your sewing go?" And I answered, "Well, I have almost finished clearing off the cutting table." I may have gotten mildly distracted by some hats that I need to fix up so that I can wear them. Anyway, back to this project. I did wash the fabric, and after a long soak and some gentle agitation, I was not able to get rid of these stains. They did not budge at all. They are mostly concentrated in this area of one of the panels. The other panel is not nearly as bad. Just has a bit of staining on this corner. so I might be able to cut around the stains. And that's what we're going to attempt to do today. Well, I did get all of the pieces cut out. I am going to have a seam down the center front of the bodice, but that could not be avoided. And it wasn't until I cut out the second side that I realized that's the barcode from when this was a petticoat at Colonial Williamsburg. So that's just going to be on the inside of my bodice now, forever. I did not have enough fabric with my layout constraints, avoiding the stains, to cut out the pieces for these long ties that bring that fullness in at the front and tie in a bow in the back. But I do have enough of this piece, which is rather stained, but I can cut above it and get a couple of very short ties that I measured will be long enough to meet in the center back, and then I can have them attach with buttons. So that's my plan. And I found these buttons that I think will work just fine. Hello again, it's another day, and look, I'm wearing the dress I'm trying to copy. Of course, I do know by now that Style 1 and Style 2 are two different styles. Style 2 is the one that I already made. I did not include the shoulder ruffles. I cut them out when I made the dress, but I was making it from an old fitted sheet, and the part of the sheet that I cut the ruffles from was noticeably more faded and dingy than the top of the shoulder, which would have been right next to it. So I opted not to put those ruffles on, and I'm happy with the dress as is. I think it's very cute. I also feel like the ruffles would have been a bit much. I don't know if I would have been brave enough to wear them. But having now cut out view 1, I know that the jumper dress does have wider shoulders. I guess to make up for the lack of ruffles. Oh, the 40s loved their shoulders, didn't they? But anyway, it is cut out and I should get to sewing. I cut out 4 pocket pieces from some of the more stained scraps. I took the pocket pattern from this also 1940s maternity pattern, which is exactly what I did the first time I made this one. And the largest remaining scrap, I have started marking bias strips. I just drew a chalk mark, it's actually soap, all across the piece so that I can tell which is the right and wrong side. Not that it really matters, but I just wanted to be able to tell. And I'm hoping I'm going to get enough bias from this for the neckline and the arm size, but that remains to be seen. Okay, it's the next day and I'm back. I did get quite a bit of work done last night, and I have made a decision on the seam finishing, which the more I sew, the more it becomes very clear that one of the first decisions that needs to be made in any given garment is how I'm going to finish the seams. On this one, I decided to go with an overlock stitch and decorative contrast top stitching. Because if I have to have a seam right down the center front of the bodice that is not called for in the original pattern, I'm going to make it a design choice. I'm going to make it look intentional. It's going to be part of the design. That's how I'm making it okay. So I'm going to do my decorative top stitching in white. So I went ahead and sewed as many seams as possible with the blue thread before I'm going to switch to white and do a bunch of top stitching and then put all the pieces together. So the skirt is in one piece because none of those seams overlap with each other, and I did go ahead and overlock all of the raw edges. I used white thread on the bobbin when I was doing the overlocking and the blue thread just on top because I'm afraid I'm going to run out of the blue thread if I continually wind bobbins from it. So I'm saving the bobbin for when I need it for construction because I don't want the white thread to be at all visible in the seams. I'm just going to use it for decorative top stitching. But I think I've done enough now that I can switch to the white, do my top stitching, and then start constructing the garment. So I've done all the darts. Those of course are using the blue thread on top and bottom. So this is the back piece. Just need to attach it to the front at the shoulders and side seams. Then I can switch to white, do all the top stitching, and then attach the skirt to the bodice because of course all of the seams are going to intersect at the waistline. So I'll switch it back to blue for that construction. And then put it back to white for the hem. Okay, it's the next day again, and I am very close to being done. The dress is in 2 pieces, which is so close to 1. I guess 4 pieces if you count the belts. 6 if you count the buttons, but I'm not counting those because they are not structural. I have a bodice and a skirt, and if I put them together, they will technically be a dress. Off camera, because I was inside watching TV with my husband, I basted the hem. I first pressed it really well using my easy hem pressing guide, because I can use the 2-inch line and give it a good crease. And I have found with this fabric that I'm probably using too hot of an iron, but it does tend to burnish the wool. I don't know if you can see that. It gets like a little bit shiny when it's pressing multiple layers at a time. So I'm trying to only press from the inside. If I do press from the outside, I'm using a pressing cloth. And yes, I could use a cooler iron. I'm using the cotton setting, not the wool setting, because I really want it to hold the crease. Wool does not always like to hold a crease, and this one is being a little stubborn. So I am steaming it into submission, I guess. But that is something to keep in mind if you have a really nice wool and you don't want that burnished look, because it can make the seam allowances show through on the outside and it doesn't look good. But if you press it from the inside, it's usually fine. It's just the part that's touching the iron that gets that shiny damage. Or use a pressing cloth, which I tend to forget to do. So this is a good reminder that I should. So now I just need to machine stitch the hem. And the reason I basted it first is because I want to stitch the hem from the outside. I'll have more control over how the top stitching looks that way. My bobbin is a little bit, the tension is not right at the moment. So you can see this is the top thread. This is the bobbin with the top stitching. It's just a little loopy and weird, and I don't want to mess with the tension in the middle of a project because I am not entirely sure how to fix it. I just got my machine back from being serviced, so I'm sure the tension got adjusted somewhere while they were working on it, and it's running like a dream. But the other reason I want to stitch from the outside is because the hem being slightly curved, it has more fabric on the underside to ease in to the top. And these panels are just barely tapered. They're pretty straight. It's not a very dramatic flare, so there's not as much to take in as there would be on like an A-line skirt. So I was actually able to ease in that extra fullness just by hand basting it. So I'm going to go ahead and machine stitch over that. And with the fuller fabric on the bottom, it's getting pulled through underneath by the feed dogs, and the top layer is just sliding smoothly under the presser foot. So the bottom layer is going to get fed through a little quicker, just like a tiny bit quicker, and that should keep it from puckering. If I did it the other way, then the top layer that has less fabric would get fed through quicker, and the bottom one, which has more fabric, would slide under the presser foot and it would start to pucker. So I'm just doing this because it's easier and I think it's going to give better results. And that was a lot of talking about the hem. Let's go do it. Ta-da! It's done! I've been wearing it all day, so it's a little wrinkly, but I really like it. I'm very happy with how it came out. It's comfy. That's the main thing. It was a little warm in the 80-something degree weather we got today. Very humid. It is wool. Wool does breathe, but I am very glad that it is sleeveless because it was a little warm. I do like how the back came out, and I feel very justified in making it that way because it's very cute. And also, I feel like a 1940s home sewist with not quite enough fabric to make the long ties and have it be a bow at the back could have made the exact same decision I did, make them short ties and close with buttons. And I can always move the buttons if I need to adjust it for size, so it's still adjustable. I did make the one buttonhole a little extra long so that there's some horizontal give on that one. And overall, yes, I'm very happy. I like how the top stitching came out. I think it looks really nice. I did use a soft white thread. I used Coats & Clark 150 instead of 100, which is the bright, like, optic white. And I'm very happy with that choice. It's just a little softer, more natural, I think. So, success! One down. At least 2 to go. I have 2 more dresses that I want to make copies of, but I think I'm going to wrap it up for this video and save the next one for another video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to give me a like, and if you want to see more, as always, definitely subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye! There's a helicopter, stand by. Points in favor of this one. There's an airplane.